What's up everybody, Texicana Barbecue. Today we are in Lule, Texas at Centex Smoker. He is Mike, the owner, the welder, basically the man at Centex. Where is your old man?
He's up at the house sleeping.
Alright. And what we're going to do today, he's going to show us in as many details as possible how to build a 1,000 gallon smoker from scratch. That's right?
Yes, sir.
Secret, how many secrets you got? 1 to 5?
A few.
Just direct message me, I'll tell you. So Mike, first thing you do when you have to approach a beast like this, what's your very first step?
So the first thing we start with generally is we get the tank here, we bring it outside, we fill it up with soap and water to make sure we're pushing all the gas to the top, and we'll actually cut a hole here in the end to drain all the water. Once we have that done, we'll bring it inside. You know, we want to be safe with everything we do. We'll bring it inside and we'll start with building our skid, which is like the foundation of a house or anything else. Here, we're going with a little bit of a beefier material. We go with the 2x4 rectangular tubing. We really like the way it looks, what it provides, stability.
The metal, it can absorb the propane in a certain way. Could that be dangerous? Or?
Well, that's why we fill it with the soap and water. I mean, on the inside, the pores of the steel are known to absorb some of the propane or whatever's in these tanks. That's why we do that in measure of adding the soap and water. Now it is, occasionally you might be cutting out a door and you might hit a pocket that has some gas or something in it, and you hear it, but it doesn't do anything like it would if you didn't fill it up with water. So these are kind of what you want, the way you want to lay your pit out. We find it's best to come in a little bit from the end cap and leave plenty of webbing in between your doors. These doors are 31.5, I believe, by 28.
All the same size, right?
Yes, sir. All the same size. 4 equal sized doors.
Is that possible, Mike, to do this pit not out of non-propane with the same thickness, or is it going to be more expensive and hard to find?
It's more, you can build pipe. There's actually some people I know, like Robert Sierra and Brian Gonzalez with SNS Pit Crew. They're a bigger fan of pipe than they are propane tanks. The pipe is really expensive to get pipe in this diameter. I think that's why you find so many people repurposing the propane tanks. And like this propane tank here, that's 3/8 of an inch thick. Wow. So when it gets hot, it stays hot. And I think it's a great product, pipe or propane tank. Yeah. What we're getting ready to do here is we've started the cutting process for our doors on our tank. Good rule of thumb is if you're using a torch, oxygen acetylene torch, when you go to cut your doors, leave a little bit of the corners, cut most of your door and let this cool all the way, and it'll actually relax the steel and allow it, instead of it being bowed, when you go back to cut these, you'll have a lot better seal on your doors. Just a little trick of the trade. That's the first door down, 3 more to go. On all these 1,000-gallon tanks, they basically roll two tanks, 2 cylinders, and put them together end to end. This would actually be where that seam is, which happens to be in the middle of one of our doors. So we've cut the actual plate for the outer end. This seam on the inside has a ring, so I'll have to get inside to cut the rest of this to free the door. Work smarter, not harder. What we like to do is mark which door goes in which slot. It saves you a lot of confusion down the road. For instance, like, you know, these tanks, none of them are perfectly round or anything like that. So if you have a door and you put it in another door spot, you may get it to fit half-ass, but whenever you go to start doing your final mounting, your door is not going to seal because it's not going to match where it came from. So we always mark them all, keep them all separate so we can keep up with it, make sure our final product's as good as it can be. We try to build everything where it's all removable for ease of the pitmaster, where they can clean it or get in here to work or do whatever they need to do. So we actually do, it'll be a total of 6 grates. We'll build a grate in the dome as well to add a little bit more cooking space. But we have 5 grates here on the bottom, and they all sit on a, I guess like a trough. It's angle iron welded in there, so everything's all nice and level and sturdy. And then we also have our signature rollout racks with the bearings. You can see here, super smooth. And we go a little bit higher on these than what most people think. I've had people question like how high up we're going. And that's mostly just for the fact if you're working the pit, you want to be able to reach to the back of the
I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, it only, if it's for chicken, it's beautiful over there, it's gonna fit. And even if it's for ribs, it will make sense. I love it.
You got about 4.5 inches up here, so you could maybe squeeze a brisket up there if you had to, but I don't know why you want to cook brisket on the top rack.
Yeah, maybe from Missouri, you know?
Yeah. So this is actually a tool we use for putting in our top racks. You can see it sitting in there. It helps us without having to hold it or worry about if it's level or not. This is actually what we use on most of our grates. It's actually a 3/4 by 9 expanded metal. It's a little bit more stiffer than what some of the other places typically offer, but I mean, once you get some brisket grease or anything absorbed in those pores of that metal, it's gonna last forever. So this is actually the hole for our stack here. This would be our elbow with our reducer. I know they look huge, but everything's bigger in Texas. This is a 12-inch hole with a 12-inch 90, and then a 12 to 10-inch reducer. Generally, our theory is on the hole, we have our hole position where the center of the hole is the center of the pit. We also run our grates along the midpoint of the cook chamber, and our theory is, you know, the heat travels mostly, it's the most consistent in the center of the pit, and it's being pulled straight across. You know, you don't want to have a stack up here with your grates down here, because as you're pulling the smoke and your pit's drawing, what are you going to do with all this food here if it's being pulled up here? So this is actually a piece of 10-inch pipe. This is what we use standard on our 1,000-gallon smokers. It's a little bit of a lighter wall. We like that because we do a fold over stack, so it makes it easier for the customer to stand the stack up and lay it back down. So this here is actually the finished stack on this 1,000-gallon. As you can see here, we'll start here. This is actually the hinge portion. This stack folds over, so when they're hauling it or needing to do anything, they can lay the stack down. This would actually be the handle for your internal damper. Kind of a mixed bag of opinions on these. We seem to like it. I think you get a better control on your output having this here than rather up at the top. Just my opinion. You know, we build a pit with, you know, as far as the dampers and this, we feel like you can really dial in what you're trying to do.
We have interesting, super interesting and extremely creative firebox. Check this out. When I see the flame leaning towards the cooking chamber, you know, the throat of the smoker and the smokestack, that is always a great sign. That means that there is the draw. It's pretty good.
This is actually the inner shell of our firebox, kind of like the crown jewel, the secret. A lot of people look at fireboxes in our style of offset smoker we're building, and they can't figure out why the hell we're building this huge square outside with a pipe on the inside. Well, there's a method to the madness. It actually helps a lot with how the pit runs. But this is what we start with. This is actually a 250-gallon propane tank. I think I don't know dimensions, but I think we're going a little bit longer than what most people are doing in the industry. And we do that. That was like one of the biggest things I found out when I talked to pit masters, was they wanted a longer firebox for their fire management, being able to move their coal bed up or back or vice versa.
And 250 for 1,000 gallon is the average. What people
pretty much,
yes,
yes. And most people use 250s for 500s also. Now they're a lot shorter, but you know, it gets the job done. So a lot of people wonder when they're like, if you're building a smoker at home, how to figure out where to position your firebox or how to position it to get the most like efficient and well-flowing pit. A good rule of thumb is to put the top of this right around the halfway point. We actually go a little bit lower here, and kind of what I've found out, or what my opinion is the lower you have this away from the center of your pit, that's going to be more like a lower, slower cooking pit. The more you raise this and put the fire directly near the center of the pit, you're going to be cooking more like a hot and fast style. Or it gives you that option. I guess you can cook either way, but generally the closer you have your heat to the center of your pit, the hotter the pit's going to run. So what we have here is, this is actually our firebox outer shell. This is what you actually see when you see a finished product of one of our pits. We actually start out, we build this on the table. We'll add all of our insulation in here and all that good stuff, and we'll actually pick the whole pit up and slide this under the inner firebox shell, set the pit back down, and then we'll raise this, level it, get it all straight on there. So this is actually what we use to pull the outer firebox shell onto our inner liner. This actually come along, and we brace this piece, and then we tie on to the mouth of the firebox and use it to pull it up on there. The inside of our firebox before we cap it on the top, you can see here, this is our fiber wool we use. It's 2 inches thick. I think it's rated for about 2,300 degrees. We wrap the entire liner pipe, as well as the dome in and everything on the front. The infamous Syntex Smokers firebox door. This door is overbuilt and over-engineered. You have to do stuff like that when you're trying to put dampers in a door in an insulated firebox. But anyways, this door weighs about right at 200 pounds. Yeah, take it with you.
All right. Damn. How heavy it is?
About 170 pounds.
You didn't know you were dealing with an Italian stallion over here.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely over-engineered, but hey, it works good and it'll last forever. The thing kind of driving this whole deal, you know, if you had the normal style hinges that everybody else tries to use, with this door, chances are it's probably not going to work too great, but we don't. We use these pillar block bearings, and these actually make a huge difference. Not only do they cause it to obviously, you know, be able to spin freely and smooth, but these are actually self-adjustable. The shaft in here, say if something happens, it gets in a bind, these will actually rotate and move if they need to. So it's you know, it just kind of adds an extra feature on this door.
What about the exposure through heat?
No, these will last no problems, you know, as far as melting or whatever anybody might think out there on the internet. You hear all kinds of crazy shit, but no, as long as you know, every 6 months or so you put a little high heat grease in here, you're ready to go. These are gonna last.
Can I use tallow?
Yeah, tallow works great. We're kind of doing like a final tune-up on this pit before it gets ready to leave to Killins next week. And you know, any other pit builder or anybody that's probably ever owned a barbecue pit has dealt with this problem before, where your door bows or the heat causes, you know, something to just be off a little bit, where you have a gap in here. That's actually one of the really nice things about us incorporating the pillar block bearings. These are all adjustable, so all we simply have to do is loosen 2 bolts on each side, and we can move this door and get it where we want it, tighten it back down. and eliminate gaps so we get a good tight seal. Our knurled handles we use on all of our smokers. It's kind of a unique feature. This is actually all machine steel. We have a local machine shop that we use for really tons of our pieces. I mean, everything from these shafts to the stuff in the firebox door. We use them to machine everything. These here are what we use for our counterweight material, commonly known as drill kelly, or around here called hex kelly due to the hexagon shape. This was actually sourced from a drilling company, oil and gas drilling company here in Luling. It's kind of one of the unique features we like about what we're doing. We try to source so much stuff local.
Damn! How heavy is this thing?
3.4 pounds per inch. 3.4 pounds per
I don't know
inch.
how it is, but heavy. I never lifted such so small or so heavy. Whoa!
Got to pick up those heavy smoker doors.
Jesus.
This is a conventional sprayer. This is actually what we use to apply all the clear coat or paint on all the pits. Just got done cleaning this one out. It's actually got paint thinner in it.
What about seasoning the smoker? You put some oil like easy oil.
They say tallow is the best stuff to use.
So how you're gonna season your smoker? Basically, what you do, you can spray with a spray gun tallow, or you can mirror tallow all over. Beef render fat is basically what it is. For maintenance, to clean up your smoker, you don't want the creation, the building up of the creosote. Okay. So basically, what you want to do with the juices that you get from the pit, you spread those all over around your smoker, and you'll be good to go. It's in a way it's greasier and dirtier, but the creosote it won't build. It will just go away. My personal opinion, being a pit master for quite a bit in Texas right now, is that Texas barbecue is Texas barbecue also because of their pits. All right, Mike, can we go going now?
Yeah.
Is that good? Is it done?
It's all yours.
Fine. And that'll be all for today. Thanks for watching. Support my channel by sharing my content and subscribing. Go buy a Texas-made Centex smoker now and thank me later. For all kinds of barbecue content and smokers, check out the link below in the description. You can also follow me on Facebook and Instagram as Texicana BBQ. And I'm out of here. Ciao! Do it again. Good. Today we are at Centex in Luling. Luling. One of the best guy in building, specialized in offset smoker. Building.
So what we're getting ready to do here is, obviously this doesn't have a stack on it yet. That all sounded really fucked up.
Don't smoke pellet. No.
Smoked brisket, not meth.
It's probably a very common misconception that the hottest part, the part that cooks faster of the smoker is the front. Is exactly the opposite. The part that cooks faster is the back. So it is true that sometimes the temperature gauge it read a hotter temperature, but over here I have direct heat that burns. And the back are gonna have more convection. Is it done? Over here.
It's a train.